Good evening. Welcome to Nary Shores Prepping. I'm your host, Greg. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Ring that bell notification. Welcome to the new subscribers, and thank you for all your comments. I do appreciate them. Startling news. The president of Ukraine claims he has been informed that Russia is going to invade Ukraine and start the war February 15th, 16th, somewhere in there. He's declared a national holiday, flying the flags of Ukraine and anthems and everything else. By that statement, the United States stock market has dropped, and looking at research from when Russia just took Ukraine, stocks tanked, treasury bonds investing, meaning people getting out of the stock market and buying treasury bonds, increased 3%. And that was just a real brief, we're taking Crimea and taking over government buildings, very little, conflict in doing that. I suspect, looking at this now, if war does break out, and according to Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, Russia notify him we're going to invade, and I've never known an opponent to tell the other opponent, hey, I'm going to break into your house on this day. But he claims he was told, and this is what's going to happen. By that mere mention of war breaking out with Russia and Ukraine specifically, and I'll say this week sometime, oil prices have gone up and will be approaching $100 a barrel, and will go further, in my prediction. If a full-blown war breaks out, you will be able to see $4 and $5 a gallon easily at the pumps for an extended period of time. As long as that war goes on, you will see a higher gas price. Now, let me ask you something here, throw in a bit of conspiracy. When Joe Biden took office, he cut energy production here in the United States to the bone, to where we went from energy independent to energy dependent. And fuel prices immediately rose. And he emptied out some of the National Reserve, quote unquote, to get the prices back down, which saved us 2 cents. Big deal. But he drained the National Reserve. Now we are currently buying more oil and natural gas from Russia than we have at any other point in time, giving more money to fuel the war machine of Russia. Now let me ask you something. Since this administration cut our fossil fuel supplies, which what the Green New Deal wants anyway, what better opportunity to say, hey, I'm cutting our oil production. There's a war coming. The war will happen. Oil prices are going to go ballistic, meaning gasoline prices are going to go ballistic. What better time to push electric vehicles on the public? If they make gas so expensive with the help of war that you can't afford the pain at the pump, people will be turning in their gas cars for electric cars. Think about that. Achievement through war on sustainable living, the sustainable economy promoted by 2030 Agenda, United Nations. You think about that. If the war keeps on going, and I anticipate it will be an insurgent war if there is indeed a war in Ukraine, I would advise you to take as much money out of the bank as you possibly can. Looking at when they invaded Ukraine in 2014, Crimea, gold went up, the value of the dollar went down, the stock markets went down, gasoline went up, food prices went up. So I would really recommend that if you're going to do something this week, I would definitely buy gasoline, put it in the leftover containers you might have around. Make sure your cars are topped off rather. I would probably look to buy some silver if you could. Definitely load up on food because inflation will just absolutely skyrocket. The stock market's going to drop. Inflation's going to increase for a long period of time. Now, as far as Russia goes, they are already producing and putting on the Russian TV news make-believe videos and news reports that Ukrainians are already attacking Russian soldiers at the border and prepared to slaughter Russian civilians in the Donbass region, Crimea, and everything else, making the Ukrainians the aggressor, which is strictly propaganda, and that they are rallying the Russian people for the war in Ukraine to save Russian lives. So this is, goes hand in hand with the video I did yesterday, saying that you have to rally your people to support a war before you go to war. Now, looking at the polls here in the U.S., originally it was 70% against U.S. involvement in Ukraine. It is now down to about 59% against, 43% support going to war with Russia over Ukraine. That is alarming. That is very alarming. So I don't know where we're going to be at that. I still am calling for a cognitive test on Joe Biden before any military action occurs. I want to know where his mind is at, and it's not just wandering off the reservation. Those are just some of my thoughts. I hope you find it helpful. Fill up your fuel tank, fill up your gas tanks, top them off, fill up your empty gas cans, fill those up while you can. Again, buy long-term food. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Get yourself right with God. Get baptized. We could be entering into a third world war. Greg out.